Former President Donald Trump is looking to grab some headlines of his own with a tour of battleground states. Meantime, he'll be in Michigan today. He was in Pennsylvania yesterday, and that's where he gave an exclusive interview to CBS News political correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. And at one point, she asked him about the personal attacks he's been making and why he's chosen to insult Vice President Harris's intelligence. Listen to this.
I don't think she's a very smart person. So I'm not looking to, I don't consider that an insult. That's just a fact.
But what evidence do you have for that?
I looked at the things that she said. I looked at the way she deals. I looked at her record of her crazy record. I look at her policies. I just don't happen to think so.
CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi is following the Trump campaign for us. You see her there in Detroit, where the former president is holding an event later today. You know, it's interesting. Trump and his VP nominee Vance are on their own little battleground Blitz with separate rallies today. And some Trump allies are holding a press availability in Chicago. That's where the DNC is. What's the strategy behind it all?
Yeah, Errol, they're really trying to flood the zone as the Democratic National Convention is taking place in Chicago. As you mentioned, Donald Trump will be here in Michigan later today, and it's actually his first visit to this battleground state after President Joe Biden dropped out of the race and Vice President Kamala Harris has assumed the nomination. So Trump will be here today. Vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance will be in Wisconsin, and the focus of these events is crime and safety. So not only are they doing a battleground tour, going to a different state every day, but it's a different theme. So yesterday they were in Pennsylvania, where the theme was economics, make America economically great again. Today is make America safe again, focus on crime and safety here. And then later this week, Donald Trump will go to North Carolina and talk about national security. And then later he will go to the border on Thursday, where he talks about immigration. So economy, crime and safety, immigration, all of these are very central themes to the Trump campaign. So this is really what they're trying to do over the next couple of days in this counter programming.
And Olivia, there were reports that a former Trump official, Stephanie Grisham, who worked as a press secretary, many of us who covered Trump during his administration, interacted with her. She will actually be speaking at the DNC. What is the Trump campaign saying about her and other Republicans vocally and enthusiastically supporting Harris?
Well, Errol, they haven't said anything quite yet about that, but Trump has been, and advisors have been watching the DNC closely. So we'll be watching to see if there's any response there. But Stephanie Grisham is among other Republicans who formerly supported former President Donald Trump and are now supporting Vice President Harris and the Democratic ticket. Another person who will be speaking is Mayor Giles of Mesa, Arizona. He's someone who will be talking at the DNC, voicing his support. Also, Adam Kinzinger, the former representative from Illinois, who rose to prominence during the January 6th Select Committee hearings as one of the only two Republicans, along with Rep. Liz Cheney, to serve on that committee. He's now no longer in Congress, but he will be at the Democratic National Convention. So it's really a flex from the Democrats to show that they are having some support that was formerly of the former president, but is now of Vice President Harris and Governor Tim Walz.
And when it comes to Trump and Harris facing off on a debate stage, we know that Trump shared he'll be participating in a Fox News town hall. And this is after Harris said she would not take part in a debate on the network. So what more do we know about this town hall and who will be there?
Yeah, in a Truth Social post last night, Donald Trump announced that Vice President Harris is no longer participating in that debate on September 4th. The Harris campaign pointed us to their statement that they made back in August when they agreed to the other debates. Look, they agreed to the debate on September 10th with ABC. That will be happening in Philadelphia. Trump still wanted to do a Fox News debate. That may or may not be happening. We still need to figure out what is quite going on there. But Trump announced at the end of that Truth Social post that he will be doing a town hall with Sean Hannity in its place somewhere in Pennsylvania. So Trump trying to reclaim that narrative there about the debates. But we still have debates coming up, not only between Vice President Harris and Donald Trump, but also with Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz. There were several debates that are being held, one on September 18th and one on CBS on October 1.
That's right. Viewers will want to see these candidates face off one-on-one. Olivia Rinaldi, thanks so much for joining us.